Hello, welcome, or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz, and I will be guiding you on this journey today. This is a reading for the 6-2 Human Design Profile, the Role Model Hermit. If you don't know what your Human Design Profile is, there is a link in the description for you to get your Human Design Body Graph, and your profile will be listed on there amongst a plethora of information specific to your design. What else? I do have a little vent sesh that I want to share with you guys. I want to vent with my friends, but what do I feel like I'm missing a bunch of shit that I usually say. Oh yes. No matter where you are in your awareness, knowledge, experiment with human design, these messages are more meant to be an additional source or additional channel to receive a message. They're not necessarily meant to be educational, so I do try my best to not use a ton of human design language so that things aren't confusing or the message doesn't get lost. Definitely be sure to check out your zodiac sign readings. Those are all up. And last important thing, if you haven't done so already, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe to my channel. It helps me grow. I appreciate it. It's so weird because I've said these things already where 5 or 6 times. So I feel like I'm getting lost in it because my brain is telling me that I've already said it. But then my brain is also reminding me that I haven't said it in your reading, which brings me to what I want to vent about. So the editing software that I use made a drastic change to their terms of service. I was using CapCut, and I'm not going to be using them anymore. So, in the past, I would make one intro video and say the things that I wanted to say, and then of course I would splice that in or whatever term using CapCut. But now the change that CapCut has made is that any content that you upload to their platform, they have the rights to. They can use it for whatever purpose they want to use it for, and as many times as they want to, technically they would own it, and I think that's crappy. I feel like that's siphoning energy out of people. It's stealing people's time, creativity, literally their content with no compensation and no risk, because if they use any of your content for any purpose, and if you have put any type of copyrighted audio or whatever, in that video, so if you put any copyrighted audio or whatever into your video that you don't necessarily have the license or rights to, thinking that it's not a big deal, you're going to upload it to where? Instagram, TikTok, maybe YouTube. I don't know. YouTube has a copyright thing. Anyway, so let's say CapCut uses that video for whatever purpose they want to use it for, and then they get flagged for it. Well, you're the one that's on the hook for it, not them. So not only are they stealing your work, siphoning your energy, right? But there's no risk, no liability, no responsibility from it on their end. And I'm just, like I said, I'm so sick of these companies, businesses, corporations doing that to people. And also, I'm under no illusion that they would ever use my content for anything. All I ever use CapCut for is these tarot readings. So do I think that that would ever happen to me? No. But it's more the principle of the thing. So if you're using CapCut, I would advise you not to. Are there other editing softwares out there? Sure, probably. But all that I ever edit in my videos is, obviously adding the intro at the beginning of the reading and any type of extended or long pauses that I have where I'm literally just sitting here staring at the card, literally from top to bottom, from corner to corner, formulating like what I'm going to say, just trying to like remain open to what the message is. Literally it takes a minute to get thoughts to my mouth anyway, like anytime. So I edit out any type of extended dead air or, silence. Sometimes it takes minutes to, shuffle the cards and for the cards to come out. And I cut that out. Sometimes my dog is freaking out because somebody's walking by and he has to protect the manor. I cut that out. There's rare times that I get up to walk away from the desk for whatever reason. I'll cut that out. Like, you know what I mean? So, that's the extent of the editing process for me. And I did use a program prior to CapCut, but it was so time consuming, which is why I kind of stumbled into CapCut. And I have seen other suggestions for editing softwares. I've downloaded one, but again, I'm just like, this is just time consuming and I don't want it to be. It was really easy, really simple, less time consuming with CapCut. However, this is the last kind. I'm winding down here or whatever. What is so interesting is that I found out about this. I saw a video of it on TikTok on Tuesday, which I believe is when Mars entered Virgo, and I'm a Virgo moon. I'm a Cancer rising, so my chart ruler is in Virgo, and that's my third house of communications, amongst other things. And I think it's hilarious that the day that Mars moved into Virgo is the day I saw the video. And I'm not going to lie to you either. I was kind of crashing out a little bit because I do think that this is a Virgo anything. I mean, any Virgo, maybe placement, but a need or expectation of perfection in some manner. Like, I was making those edits because I did want to present the videos in a kind of package, right? I wanted them to seem more put together and, more flowy, and any type of external disturbance or interruption, I did want to take out. And I think that is, my little Virgo moon trying to present a certain way and trying to, again, put it in a nice little neat package. Also, I'm not saying that my videos are pristine or anything, but for me, I felt good about that, So that's what was kind of putting me into crash out mode, was like, oh my God. All of what I consider to be messy or, again, interruptions, disruptions, whatever, all of that is going to be in the videos now. And I was judging myself really pretty hard for it because I was worried that you guys would eventually judge me too. And 2 days later, I already had 3 videos done at that point that I hadn't edited yet. I did try to do a new intro thing that I included my little rant about CapCut in. But again, the program that I was using before, I was like, this is going to take all my joy all my excitement out of like doing these readings if I have to use this fucking program to do the to do the editing. And that's, so by that point is when I finally had clarity, or like I finally felt more grounded, and was like, you know what, this is actually probably really beneficial for me. Because every single thing that happens, it's got to be for your highest good. Now, I'm not putting a blanket statement on that. There's some terrible shit that happens. But in this case, I'm like, this has to be for my highest good, right? It has to be better for the readings. It has to be better, in my communication to you guys, for my channel. Because also, you know what? It's forcing me kind of, right? Like to show up authentically. Like it's going to be raw, There is not a single thing that's going to be edited from these videos at all. It's going to go from recording to YouTube. And anything that happens in the background is going to be in there too. And, it's almost kind of like forcing me to let go of the perfection thing. I have my IC in Virgo. So my midheaven is in Pisces. And I've been told a few times by when I've had astrology readings that, it's about like leaning more into the Pisces, more into the flow and authenticity. But I struggled with that. And then Mars, enters Virgo this time around with whatever configuration is happening in the sky, right? I mean, Jupiter just went into Cancer not that long ago, which, like I said, is my first house. Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, so there's some sort of square happening there, even briefly. Aries would be my 10th house of work and how I show up and all of those things. So again, the South Node being in Virgo, North Node being in Pisces. Also, again, just whatever configuration that is having, just really having to lean into trust and not worrying so much about it. So, how many cards? We have 4 cards here. I think we're going to lay them. Let's see. I was sitting here like, which way do you guys want to be laid out? They fell out face up. So I feel like this is the way that we should lay them down. Was there anything else I wanted to say about that? Probably not. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you guys may not even notice really anything except for sounds in the background, except for, periods of silence while I'm like sitting here staring at the cards, again. And, like I said, we'll see how it goes, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But thank you for letting me share. Let me make sure that all these cards are in frame also. And I do want to go grab my water, actually. Oh, they are not. Okay, see, this is why we look, This is why we look. I feel like what is crooked here, too? I actually discovered in the 3-5 reading that, because I needed to walk away, because I sneezed a couple times and I needed to go blow my nose. But I discovered my camera has a pause button on it. So that's cool. That's the only editing. But I can't even see the screen when I'm doing these readings. So I'm not going to be like pressing pause a million times. But anyway, okay. The Nine of Swords, Seven of Pentacles, Two of Cups, Two of Pentacles, two twos, and then the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, the World behind it. I mean, you know, with the Nine of Swords starting us off here, there's clearly like some anxiety or fear, uncertainty of something. Hello, babies. Hello, babies. Swords have to do with our mind, our thoughts, our mindset, belief systems, truth, honesty, intellect. Also, how are we communicating any of those things? I also see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's generally where we tend to hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, feelings, circumstances. And it becomes our belief system. It becomes our temperament, our personality, homeostasis. So, like I said, like the Nine of Swords is anxiety. It's possibly losing sleep at night, stress. You know, there's these 9 swords sticking up at this panther here that almost kind of looks surprised to me. You know, like I don't think that this panther is like like going to attack or anything like that. It does not feel that way to me. I don't like, how do you feel about it? Like, it literally feels like it was like walking along this branch and then all these people jumped out and it was like, ah, you know, like its mouth is open. It looks surprised to me. So, you know, I mean, that could be something that you are experiencing. Like maybe you are a little surprised that things are coming up, maybe even in the capacity that they're coming up in, or, you know, maybe there is some anxiety or stress that's like either coming out of nowhere or you're just a little surprised about. It doesn't have to specifically be like 9 other things. It can just be a multitude. Like there's just a lot of stuff that may be happening in close proximity to each other, and that could be creating some tension, some, again, anxiety, fear, doubt, all of the things. Nines are also individual completion, though. So there is like some level of finality. I mean, we do have the World card behind the Ace of Pentacles. Like, there's something that is nearing the end. So, like, if you have been in a state, and not to mention even the cards that we have behind it are indicative of that, but if you have been in a state of anxiety, fear, again, truly, like, you could be working through some big stuff. Maybe in therapy, or, you know, really trying to resolve something. And again, even maybe through that process or through whatever process you have been in, because it's kind of like, you know, this panther is coming into the card. So it's come from somewhere, right? Maybe too, like, this is like at a point of like you've just recently walked into or started to experience some anxiety, uncertainty, all the buzzwords that I've said. Um, but I do keep getting this feeling of like working through it. Maybe it has to do with you and other people in whatever capacity that is, whether it's romantic, platonic, business, it could be within your family. Part of the reason why I am saying that is because we have this family of raccoons here. We also have these two birds in this nest. So both of these cards have other energies in them. And then the Two of Pentacles at the end, like talking about balancing things out, which is good. I mean, that's a good thing to end on. So, I mean, just to jump ahead to the end, like balance is definitely coming. But the Seven of Pentacles is about focusing your time, your resources, your energy onto a thing in order to see it grow, in order to actualize or materialize it as well. Like this card specifically talks about comfort. Pentacles have to do with our money, how we get it, how we save it, how we spend it. It's our time and our energy, which we do usually use in exchange for money, unless you're cap cut. F them, man. Anyway, okay. Not even just them, truly. Anything and anybody that is just siphoning your energy for nothing in return. F that. So, which could be even, honestly, even part of this too. But I'm not gonna like try to fit a square peg into a round hole. I could make it fit, but and to like, if that is something that you are experiencing, where you are, putting out your creative energy, where you are, even your mental capacity, your expertise, your intelligence, your knowledge, like, even if you are putting that out there, and if you are not getting in return what you expect or what is like reciprocal, maybe just revisit that. So anyway, back to Pentacles, your money, your time, your energy, your physical body, your health, but also like, where are you physically showing up in your life? Like, where are you physically investing your time, your energy? I need to, like, with the Seven of Pentacles, I always like give the example of like you can't just plant a seed in the ground and do literally nothing else to it and then expect to be able to harvest fruits or vegetables or flowers or whatever from it, right? Like, you have to show up every day, and you have to use your resources, which would be water, and your materials as far as like planting it in soil, and you have to check for pests, you have to prune, blah blah blah, right? Like, you have to show up, put your energy into it, invest in it also, so that you will be able to reap the fruits of your labor. And like I said, in this card, I mean, even just looking at it, right? Like, it looks cozy. Like, there's this whole family of raccoons in their little nook here. And these two are like holding on to pentacles. Literally, there's pentacles growing on trees in this card. I love that. In this deck, money really does grow on trees. Give me that tree. The book says simple pleasures, happiness, no drastic change, comfort. A family of raccoons is snuggled safe in their den with a wealth of coins around them. This card This card is all about comfort. Sometimes simple pleasures are better, for they encourage happiness to be found at home. Satisfaction can be found through tried and true methods. If you are asking the deck whether you should make a change, this is a solid no on that answer. Now is not the time to flee home and to look to new horizons, but rather to enjoy what you have cultivated around you, which could very well be why this Nine of Swords is showing up first. That talks about anxiety, guilt, depression, inner torment. A panther retreats into the tree, hounded by a mob with shining blades. The Nine of Swords represents the darker moments that come at night, when we are so troubled by sadness or anxiety that sleep seems impossible. The mob's blades symbolize these troubling thoughts and the way in which they form a cage within our mind. Often it is possible, even necessary, to push these thoughts aside during the day, but at night they seem to multiply and circle endlessly. This card reminds us that pain is felt keenly in the dark, but some decisions should be slept on, for everything is clearer in the morning. That kind of sounds like sundowners a little bit. I'm not saying that you do have sundowners, of course, but just the whole like nighttime thing. And also too, like there's usually not much to distract us at night. Like usually most people for the most part, you know, like work during the day, and you're home in the evenings, unless of course you have like other obligations or responsibilities, whatever, right? But I'm just saying, like, you know, usually it's like you're winding down, you don't really have anything else to like distract you, like work or some other, you know, responsibility. And that's kind of when those gremlins start getting a little loud. And two, like, you know, with the Seven of Pentacles, it may just be, you know, a matter of changing your perspective, the way that you're thinking about what you do currently have at your disposal. And if you are like kind of in the mind frame of you know, wishing for something different or feeling unfulfilled, or again, you know, even wanting to make a drastic change, like it's almost like really digging into with this Nine of Swords, like what is the motivation behind that drastic change? Is it because you are uncomfortable? Is it because you are facing something that is difficult to face? You know, is it because you've reached your glass ceiling again? And the discomfort of moving beyond that. There's that book, The Big Leap, and that book talks about going beyond our own glass ceiling. The discomfort around it, the things that come up, you know, kind of gives pointers or advice for how to ease yourself through that. It is interesting though too how, again, like both of these cards in the middle talk about nurturing or comfort. This is the like practical application of comfort, you know, like your surroundings, your home, you know, like having your needs met monetarily, or food, shelter, you know. And then the Two of Cups, at least in this depiction of it, this feels like being comforted emotionally. Nurturing something emotionally. You know, we can see that, to me, it looks like mama bird, baby bird. it doesn't look like, I mean, it very well could be, because now that I'm like looking at this card even more, their little feet are intertwined down here. The Two of Cups can represent romantic connection, but it's more so, it is shared values. The Ace of Cups is when our cup is overflowing. There's something that either comes along that we discover that fills our cup, that makes us feel rejuvenated, that makes us feel purposeful. And I was going to say that over here too, like if you are feeling like a lack of purpose, and if that's kind of what's creating the itchy energy to like want to make a change, again, it's one of those things of like, where is that coming from? Like, what is the intention behind that? And is the motivation to get out of the discomfort with the nine of swords. So I was talking about the Ace of Cups, again, right, just feeling rejuvenated, feeling cared for, feeling loved, having the emotional capacity to, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You can, we all have, right? But it truly does only cause harm to yourself if you continue to do that. So again, right, having the emotional capacity with the Ace of Cups. And that's when we move on to the Two of Cups, where you want to share that with somebody else. And not only that, but the other person has their own Ace of Cups. So both parties come with their full cup. So again, like the energy is reciprocal. I feel like we were even talking about that over here, where, if, what were we talking about that? I honestly, it's crazy how truly the minute that something comes out of my mouth, I completely forget about it. Anyway, that's also part of my intention, because before every single reading, when I sit here, I set the intention for the message to come through me, not from me. So I do try not to allow my mind, my brain to get involved. So I think that's why it's gone as soon as I say it, because it wasn't even in there to begin with. It's coming, it's going through my crown and right out of my throat, or like out of my mouth, so there's no breaks. Anyway, okay. So both parties come, to this connection with their full cup. Now, again, that can be a romantic partner if that is what you're looking for. It could be a platonic connection. It could be a business connection. Truly, this could even be with yourself. Honoring your own process, like your own cycle, recognizing when your cup is getting depleted and allowing yourself to retreat like a hermit would, right? Like you have that second line. So it's allowing yourself, and too, there's this dance that happens with the second line, where you are out there, you're doing the thing, you're interacting, you're sharing your cup, right? But then there comes a point where you're like, okay, I need to be in my space, whatever your hermit cave is to you, so that you can recharge and replenish and just kind of be in your own energy. This could even be like making, a connection with people who understand that too. I kind of love how the star is like pretty prominent. I mean, the star is associated to Aquarius, so it's not technically water, but it is like the Star card talks about hope, faith, trusting the process, believing in the thing that you want to manifest. Believing in yourself, The Two of Cups says partnership, romance, nurture, respect. Two birds hold each other in their nest. The Two of Cups is a card which brings to light the start of a new partnership, most often in romantic relationships. The card invites you to value and to love the nurturing aspect of your partner and encourages you to practice those virtues within yourself. Practice respectful love, and don't forget that showing that love for yourself first is key. Anytime something remotely close to what RuPaul says comes up, I always have to repeat it. But if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Truly, how can you expect, somebody to love you in a certain way if you don't know how to love you in that way, how are you in communication with, asking for your needs to be met, or, communicating with your partner, whether regardless of what type of partner it is, again, romantic, platonic, business, yourself. First you have to be clear on what does fill your cup. What is your role in a relationship? What role are you looking to fill with a partnership? Right? I love that. And especially too, I love that we even talked about that aspect, and especially with this star being so prominent, because it's almost kind of like it is getting what you want, what you maybe have wanted, and even just trusting that it's possible, even over here, I don't even know if I said it, but not accepting less than what you are worth. That's the same here, believing that the type of connection that you want to have exists, and not settling for anything less than that in whatever capacity that connection is, right? And then we have the Two of Pentacles here at the end of the reading, which again talks about balance, balancing responsibilities, maybe even balancing the practical with the emotional here. It's interesting too, a couple things that I can't remember. Are these what are these things called? Jars. I'm just going to call them jars because I can't think of, when you're in science, you're doing science experiments and they have these, I cannot think of the word anyway. So these jars here that have pentacles in them, but there's also smoke coming out of them. So it feels like releasing something, releasing an energy. Not releasing in the sense of letting go, but releasing in the sense of putting it out there. because that's, like the smoke is coming out of these jars, right? And they're on this ship, it looks like, with this crazy like storm going on in the background because these waves look huge. Again, water has to do with our emotions. So there's some sort of, oh my God. Yeah, I did say balancing the practical and the emotional because, okay, I at least remembered that. But, right, because the practical would be the ship, the emotional, of course, would be the water. And like I said, I love that it's at the end of the reading that we started with the Nine of Swords. So there is some sort of like solution that is possible here. And it would just take literally either opening your mind to it or changing your mind or your perspective. The Two of Pentacles says balance, distractions, neglect, relationships. Okay. An alchemist holds his experiments in precarious balance aboard a sailing vessel. Moving through life successfully is always a balancing act. You might not have the stable footing you wish for, but this doesn't mean you won't find your sea legs. The flurry of sparrows represents distractions that will require diligence to overcome. Traditionally, coins represent finances, but this card might speak of relationships that have become neglected as you try to improve other areas of your life. Mm. And maybe that has been what has, maybe that, okay. Maybe what has been neglected is comfort and nurturing. Maybe this could even be receiving comfort or allowing yourself to be like comforted. This could be, with the nurturing aspect, again, either just nurturing relationships or, allowing yourself to be nurtured or, of course, nurturing a partner. But again, there is some sort of balance, some sort of solution that is coming here. And, it does take conscious effort. And that could be the change of mind here. Instead of giving your energy to the stress, the anxiety, the uncertainty, it's allowing yourself to engage with comfort. If that's family, friends, your partner, whatever, engage with the nurturing aspect. Again, whether that's your friends, your family, your partner. And it's like that will be the thing that creates the balance, that even changes the energy for you. And especially since we have the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, because this mouse always looks like they are offering this pentacle. This could be a job offer. Pentacles, again, right? Money. It could be an improvement on your health. It could just be even feeling a new sense of purpose surrounding all things pentacles. This could also even be the thing that you were worrying about over here. The opportunity coming in, the connection, the offer, whatever this would represent for you in regards to this Nine of Swords. Like whatever it is that has been creating the stress that you have been hoping for, waiting for, trying to attract, going after, this would be that thing coming in. And instead of like staying in a place of being worried about it, you're like, you know what? I'm going to spend my time and my energy in comfort and nurturing. The Ace of Pentacles says prosperity, positive change, hard work, focus. A field mouse in her sumptuous garden grasps a golden coin. Look forward to an abundant influx of positivity when this card appears. A bounty of wealth, inspiration, or prosperity is in the near future. This ace speaks of an upcoming change for the better, which is likely related to your existing goals. The incoming windfall will be the result of your hard work and commitment. It may be time to invest even more energy into your current area of focus, as the following changes will bring new breath and prosperity to your life. Reflect on the garden in this card. There is definite cultivation, but the lushness has come organically. Which I feel like is all the things that I was pretty much talking about with the Seven of Pentacles. Your hard work, your focus, right, have paid off here. The World card behind that. This cycle coming to an end. And do you want to be like dragged through the coals on the way there, which is the Nine of Swords? Or do you want to choose to feel comforted by the fact, or feel nurtured? Do you want to, be surrounded by that type of energy versus the stress, right? The Ten of Wands here, which is the end of a burden. So we have two cards that are endings. The Justice card is a scales balancing. I mean, good stuff coming up here for you. It's just, how do you want that to live in your brain? All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for letting me vent, for letting me share. And thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards for you. I will talk to you soon. Bye.